We are going to discuss today about documentation, and this is very important because we all here are researcher in a way. Even though I'm a teacher, and many of you who are present here, they can be a teacher or they can be a research scholar, but we know that we are in a field where are we have to research, we have to write, and if we have to write, we have to follow certain codes, certain conducts, because when we used to write, we write in a certain convention. So suppose a research scholar belongs to arts, humanities, social science, or science. The convention of writing research paper is different for each discipline, and we have to follow this. And we will see why it is important. So let us start with the definition of documentation. What this documentation is. According to Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, to document is to record the details of something or to prove or support something with documents. And documentation means document that are required for something. See, in all three epithets, what is common? That documentation always refers to something to prove the credibility of other document. In documentation, there can be two documents. One is there that you have to provide to support the other. So in suppose you are writing a paper, so you can not write your paper in isolation, because researches are built on previous research. We are in a field, we are in a kind of academic field that we cannot work in isolation. We always work in group, we always work with peers, we always work with discussion with teachers, discussions with peer, or this can be a discussion dependent upon the reading of a paper. So a research cannot be in isolation. So in order to write your research, first of all, you have to consult other documents. Researchers commonly begin a project by studying past work. As I have said, that you cannot work in isolation. That means when you start writing or when you start working on your research paper, you have to consider some work that has been done in your field or related to your field in the past. So you read, you go on searching those papers which are related to your research work, which can be helpful for your research work, and after that you form an idea, you derive an idea to work for your present work. So your research is always based on your past. When cut off from the past, there are two types of researches. One is where only original natural kind of innovation, in very innovative things happen, as if such kind of results have not been arrived at earlier, but there are a second kind of research where you base your research on the previous research. And most of us are doing here the second type of research, where you base your research from on the works of the past workers. So your research is always dependent upon the study of the past. In presenting their work, researchers generally acknowledge their debt to predecessors by carefully documenting each source. Suppose what happens when you read a paper, hmm, when read you a paper from the other writer, you read and derive some ideas. And uh, if you have read, if you have read the paper, you have to give acknowledgement to the to that paper, that you have read this, that you have found some ideas very important to accumulate in your research. Now, why documentation? Why documentation is necessary? Because you have to document each of your borrowing. Whatever you read and in whatever you accumulate in your research in the form of quotation, in the form of inspiration, you need to document it. Through documentation, the researcher provides the reader with a description of key features of each source, and in this way, documentation assists the readers in locating the source that is being used in the research. Documentation is important for readers also, because if your research work is published, whether it is dissertation, whether it is a research paper, whether it is your thesis, when a reader reads your research work and the reader consults your documentation list, the reader can do a wide study. So, documentation is not important only for the writer but also for the reader. Next, we will see why documentation is important. Okay, the very first thing, citation protects you from a charge of plagiarism. We know about academic borrowings. You cannot borrow any idea without documenting it, without clearly acknowledging it, because that will be academic theft, and it is called plagiarism. So, in order and plagiarism has its punishments also. So, in order to avoid plagiarism, we have to document each source that we have consulted. Correct citation contributes to your ethos because readers don't trust sources they cannot find. In order to be your research paper or dissertation credible, you have to document in a very right way, because if you haven't document in a right way and researcher cannot locate the cited documents, they will doubt your research also, because if you have done the research in a correct way, you must have put documentation, you must have cited those sources correctly. And if you fail to do so, the researcher can think that you are faking them, you are faking a research, you are faking the idea. So it is important for your ethos, it is important for the credibility of your research paper. Next, getting the details of citations, right distinguishable, reliable, experienced researcher from careless beginner. It distinguishes a research paper on the basis of being careful and careless, being very expert and naive. So if you are entering into the field of research, you are entering in a learning phase. And you are going to establish yourself as an expert researcher, because nobody is interested to establish themselves as a naive researcher, as a researcher who cannot be trusted, and as a researcher who does a haphazard research, a haphazard way of presenting ideas, haphazard way of presenting citations. So it is the mark of an expert researcher to document your sources in a right way. Researchers help you to learn how to integrate the research of those of others into your own thinking, and citation is a proof of your reading also. See, I have just said that you cannot research in isolation. You always base your ideas, you also always derive inspiration in order to critique it or support it. But the idea, you get this idea, different ideas from different past works. So the more of your citation, the more it proves that you have invested your time in reading various papers, various books, and your research is based on such wide reading. So it is also gives a very scholarly look to your research paper, to your dissertation. Readers use citation before before, while, and after they read your paper. As they read, readers use citation to decide how much they can trust the reliability, currency, and completeness of your evidence. See, I also have slightly discussed this idea that citation documentation is also important for your readers because they use it. They use it to form their own understanding. They use it to refer your paper, and we know that referring and citing your paper is also very important because it gain you some marks, it gain you some credibility. So it is also important for readers because by the list that you have provided at the end of your work, they can go through all those works. Next, when you cite sources, you honor them by acknowledging your intellectual debt. Okay, it is a moral responsibility of yours that if you are reading any book, if you are reading any article or anything that you find very helpful for your idea, it is your moral responsibility to acknowledge the author of that book or article or anything. Next, gathering information about the source. Now, if you are documenting, what things you need to keep in your mind? So, the very first thing is, okay, who is, if you are reading any article, you cannot read at random. Before that, you have to need to locate these points in your in that paper that you are reading. So first is who is the author of the source? Is the author qualified to address the subject? Means uh, you don't only judge the paper while writing a paper, reading a paper. You do not judge only the content. You do not judge only the idea or that exists in that paper, but you also have to have an idea about the writer. Is he a naive writer? He is an expert, or he is a very scholar person. So you need to know about the. It's not knowledge, but you need to have an idea about the author. Does the author draw an appropriate research, make a logical argument? Do you perceive biases or the possibility of the author's relation to the subject matter? These are some important questions that will arise when you focus over the author of a paper. Next, what is the title of the source? You cannot pick a random paper. You cannot pick a random paper and think that it is going to be helpful for your research. First of all, what strikes to you when picking up a paper is the title. So uh, you have to know that does it have a title, does it not have a title? If it lacks a title, how would you describe this? If it is a original work, if it is a primary source, or is this title is anyhow related to your research work? Next, how was the source published? There can be various ways in which a source can be published. A source can be published in a refereed journal. It can be published in a form of book. It can be published in a peer-reviewed journal. And now we have UGC Care List. So this also, support the credibility of a paper that you are going to read. That who is the publisher? What kind of organization is supporting that paper? Next, where did you find the source? Now, have you find this in a library? Have you find this in a journal? Have you find this, or someone has just suggested you, or have you find this source in others' documentation? So this all matters. Next, when was the source published? It is also a question of concern. Maybe it is not a very important concern for a person of a researcher of humanities, but it is very important, very crucial question for the researcher of social sciences and sciences. Next, what are different types of documentation. So we can have two types of documentation. First is bibliographic style, and the second is works cited. So in bibliography, what is the basic difference between the two? That in bibliography, you just write down the name of all the works that you have read, or all those works also which are indirectly related to your paper. So it is a very huge list of books, huge list of paper. This is one type. The second type is referencing style, the citation style, and we are much more concerned with this style. Um, uh, you can see on your screen that the second type is the citation of reference in full. It is either in the footnotes or in the notes and references given at the end of every chapter. So in this type of style of documentation, a footnote is provided on each paper, and if there is no footnotes, a different section with the heading, notes and references is attached at the last of the paper. Okay. Short parenthetical notes within the text are also used. The citation in the references given at the end of every chapter ensures the exact place from which the borrowed material is taken. Means while writing your paper, suppose if you are quoting, or suppose if you are deriving inspiration from a particular writer or his work, you put a parenthetical reference there in the main body of your text with a and that citation refers something that you can look in the last notes and references list. That means each citation, each in-text citation is linked with a detailed citation at the last of the text. The citation must be accurate and as precise as possible. If the book is in more than one volume, the citation would indicate the volume. Okay, all the necessary information related to the work that you are reading should be present in a citation. So for now, you just try to understand that there can be two types of documentation. The first is bibliographic. That means giving the list of all those books which are related directly or indirectly to your research work. This is one style. The second style is notes and references, or cited, work cited list, where you only quote, where you only put those books that you have cited in your text. Okay, so because in the second style there is in-text citation. In parentheses, you always give some information from where you are deriving a particular idea, or from where you are taking a particular quote. This is written in your text, and this text redirects you towards works cited list, where you can find a full entry written with all the necessary information related to that document. I hope I am clear. Now, major style of citation. I will discuss very slightly the major styles of citation today, as it is the topic, and I am not going into detail. I am only giving you a view about these citation styles. First of all, there is MLA style, 8th edition. We are currently referring this 8th edition of MLA style. Documentation style differs according to discipline because they are shaped by the kind of research and scholarship undertaken. I have discussed this earlier, that in a particular discipline, you have to move in a particular way. You have to write in a particular way. That is why you have to follow a particular convention, because it will be easier for the receiver to understand your paper, to look your paper in that particular way. So you have to follow that documentation style that is appropriated for that discipline. In humanities, where most important scholarship remains relevant for a substantial period, publication dates receives less attention. In humanities, we basically refer MLA's style, or you can say MLA's style sheet is for humanities research scholar. MLA's style of citation, it is simpler and more concise than other formats of documentation, and I will show you how it is easier, how it is simpler, and how it is concise than other forms of documentation. It shares with most other its central feature, parenthetical citation keyed to a work cited list. It is the second type of documentation style. In MLA style sheet, there is always a works cited list at the end of your research paper, which is related to the in-text citations, or vice versa. There are in-text citations, and these in-text citations, parenthetical citations, are related or keyed to the works cited list. In MLA style, referring to the works of others in your text is done by using parenthetical citation. I will show you what is the parenthetical citation. I think you can see the example. There is an example that I have taken from the book titled History of Sexuality. You can see that when the quotation has ended, there is a parenthetical citation where it is written Foucault, HSI 101 102. This is parenthetical citation. Okay, this parenthetical citation informs you that the writer of this quote, this quotation, that is, I am reading that example. Where there is power, there is resistance. This resistance is never in a position of exteriority in relation to power. These points of resistance are present everywhere in the networks of power. Okay, this is the example. I hope you can locate it in the slide. And after that, within brackets, within parentheses, you can find the name of the author, and it is written Foucault. Okay, only the last name of the author is present here. It is not Michel Foucault. Only the last name is here, Foucault. Then a comma, in italics HSI, which stands for History of Sexuality, Volume 1. Then 101 and 102. It refers to the page number. Clear? This method involves providing relevant source information in parentheses where a sentence uses a quotation or paraphrase. Either you use a quotation or you use a paraphrase also. Is one thing that you should keep in your mind, that it is not only after the quotation but also after paraphrasing you need to put citation. So this MLA style in-text citation refers that wherever you end your sentence, wherever you end a quote, or wherever you end your paraphrase, you have to put information related to that document in a parenthesis. Usually the simplest way to do is to put all of the source information in parenthesis at the end of the sentence, that is just before the period. One more thing that is important to note here. You can see that in example that the lines, the quotations are running, but full stop or the period only appears after the in-text citation, after the brackets. So bracket is never before the citation. It is always after the citation. This period is never before the brackets. It is always after the bracket. It is one full sentence. I hope I'm clear. The citation in above example tells the reader that the line was taken from page 101. I have discussed that 101 tells about the pages of a particular book, and that book, the name of that book is History of Sexuality. It is abbreviated, and the writer of that book is Michel Foucault, because we only provide the last name. For more information about the source, the reader can see the works cited list, where under the name of Foucault, they will find the information. So earlier, the example that I just showed you, that is in text, means that is going to run in the body of your text. And if the reader wants to know more about the document that you have referred, the reader can go to the works cited list, and where that reader will find this entry: Foucault, Michel, History of Sexuality, period, volume 1, period, Penguin Books, 1978. Okay, this is the full way of citing a book in MLS style, 8th edition. You can see the name of the writer, name of the book, name of the and volume of the book, publication house, and year of publication. Now, the second documentation style, the major documentation style that I'm going to discuss is APA style. Till now, we were discussing MLS style. Now, this APA style, this reference citation in APA style paper has particular purpose. It lists the works you have referred to in your works. It is also the second type of citation, means in-text citation and works cited list. If you mention a book chapter, a journal article, or any other source, you should include that the source is in your reference section. Generally, after a paper that you have written in APA style, you give at the end of your paper a list of references, not works cited. A slight difference. Here you have to title it as references, not works cited, as you are writing in APA style. If you do not mention a source in your paper, do not include it among the reference. As I have said about the MLS style of writing, that you only put those entries in your works cited and in your reference list that you have referred in the main body of the text. In other disciplines, a paper might have a bibliography that contains work not cited in the paper, but in APA style, we only include the references, the source we actually mentioned in the paper. I hope this is clear by now. APA's referencing style is author date style. And APA style is basically popular with social sciences and sciences. So the citation in the text consists of author and the year of publication, given wholly or partially in round brackets. So here is also you follow parenthetical style of documentation, but here date is very important. So the same thing I have done, the same code I have derived, and you can see the difference between the two. I hope it is clear. Here, see in the example, in the parenthesis in the bracket, I have written the name of the writer Foucault. After that, there is a comma which is missing in MLS style, and immediately I have put the year of publication, not the name of the book. Okay, so this is the basic difference because this is author date style. In this style, in APA style, why in APA style author date system? Hmm? As I have said that APA style is basically followed in social sciences and sciences, and in social sciences and sciences, the researches in this field are remarkable according to their period. The latest research is of more concern than the researches that have been done 20, 40 years before. It is not with MLA style, it is not with humanities, because in humanities we work over idea, and ideas can be as ancient as possible, and they can be as relevant in present time as possible. But researches that are happening in that has been conducted in science and social science, they are relevant according to their newness. That is why we put the date of publication immediately after the name of the writer. Is that clear? Okay. The reference section, that is the word reference centered in bold type, will contain the following information for the above reference. See, uh, in MLA style also, you have a entry at the end of your paper, and in APA style also, you have an entry at the end of your paper. But there will be a slight change. How? See, I have written Foucault, comma, after that M. You can see M stands for Michel. In APA style, the full name of the author is not important. So you only refer to the last name of the author, and you can shorten the first name. So Michel, comma M, and after that, immediately after that, you have put the publication date. Then the history of sexuality, that is book. One thing to notice here again, that in earlier style, how it is different from MLS style. Because if you are not very careful about the differences, you will always confuse. So in MLS style, uh, the uh, full name of the author is compulsory, but in APA style, it is not necessary. Uh, that is why I have written Foucault. You can see in the example, Foucault, comma, M, dot, after that, the publication date, then the name of the book, The History of Sexuality. But here it is not necessary to capitalize each word of the book, which is must in MLA style. This is the difference. Then you put volume, information about volume in brackets. Then New York, which is the place of publication of that book. Then Penguin Books, who is the publisher. So all these information are also uh, available in MLA style, but you have put it in a different fashion. In MLA style, the date in parentheses appears immediately after the name of the author. The first name of the author is written only in initials. I have already discussed with the help of an example. Only the first of the word of the title is capitalized. Publisher's full name, full information is given. Uh, suppose in MLA style, if you are referring a book that has been published from Oxford University Press, in MLA style, you can shorten it as OUP. But in APA style, you cannot shorten it, and you have to describe it fully as the name of the publisher is, like Oxford University Press, University of Pennsylvania. You cannot you cannot go for a shorter version of the name. The third very significant style manual of documentation is Chicago Manual, and it is you can say most popular because Chicago Manual goes for humanities as well as science also. But in humanities and in science, the format, Chicago Manual formats differs. There are two systems of source citation in Chicago style. The first is with footnotes or endnotes, means you refer something in your text, and by the end of the page, not by the end of your paper, but by the end of your page, you put the reference in the form of notes, footnotes or endnotes. So with footnotes or endnotes or both, usually together with bibliography, the notes allow space for unusual types of sources as well as for commentary on the sources cited, making this system extremely flexible. Chicago style is very flexible, and in footnotes, uh, you can describe something else that you want to say about that source. So it is not very rigid like APA and MLA. The second system, the Chicago's other system, uses parenthetical author dates reference and a corresponding reference list is nearly identical in content but differs in uh, so one system, one way of doing Chicago manual style is putting endnote or putting footnote after every page. You can do this, or you can do in text citation like you can do in MLA and APA in text citation, and you can relate it to the last your footnotes, your sorry, not footnotes, your last list of works cited or references. Okay, these are two types. That is why Chicago style is very flexible. Either you can do footnotes, or you can add a list of references and notes at the last of the paper. Bibliographic citations are provided in notes, preferably supplemented by bibliography. The notes, whether footnotes or endnotes, are usually numbered and correspond to superscript note reference number in the text. You can see the example. I, uh, I will try to explain it through examples. I think it is helpful. Uh, See, I have taken the same quotation, and you can see a superscript one written at the end of the quotation, and this quotation is it exists in your text. After that, there is a superscript 1, and when you come to the bottom of your page, you will find an entry in footnotes like this: Michel Foucault. Name is not reversed here. Name is written in full. It is not reversed. After that, the name of the book, which is not capitalized. Then volume 1 and other, the place of publication and the name of the publisher and the date of publication. These informations are parenthetical. They are put in brackets, and after that the page number from where this citation, from where this quotation has been taken. Okay, I have repeated, sorry. If the repetition of the same citation in the source occurs, the notes need not to duplicate the source information in full. The next time it may look like this. Suppose if you are re-referring the same quotation or re-referring the same author. Suppose you are reading this book, and one other quotation that you find very applicable to your research, you quote this, but this time you do not put the full uh, information, full bibliographic information in the footnotes. Rather, you only write as I have written. You can see. Suppose it occurs at third number. So 3 Foucault, comma, the history of sexuality, and the page number. Last name of the author, name of the book, and page number. Okay, it is not like referring to the whole information. As you can see above, Michel Foucault, The History of Sexuality, Volume 1, name of the publisher, and place of the publication, date of the publication. Not everything is important. Suppose if you are re-referring the same source, you can write it in a short way, only by the last name, referring to the last name of the author and the book name and the page number. And when you look for this entry in the works cited list, you will find it a slightly different from as you have done in the notes section. Notes are, I hope one thing is clear for you, that footnotes uh, goes in your text. They are end notes. They are at the bottom of every page, which is different from works cited list. In works cited list in Chicago Manual, the same entry is done in a different way. You can compare. Like, see, when you come in the bibliographic section, the name of the author is again reversed. Michel Foucault becomes Foucault Michel. Then the name of the book is not written in a running way, but each word is capitalized, and the place of publication, name of publisher, and the date of publication, they are not in brackets. They follow certain convention of colon and bracket, colon and comma and period. So there is a difference how you refer a document in your text when you are doing Chicago Manual, in your text in the form of footnotes, and how you refer to the same, how you place the same documentation, the same information at the end of your document. Okay. Now, parenthetical style of, earlier we were using the bibliographic style. Now this is parenthetical style. Uh, this author date system is used mainly in physical, natural, and social sciences. So this is important for social sciences student. This style is author date style. So the citation in the text consists of author's name, and this is similar to APA style, because here after the name of the author, you put immediately the date of publication. See, I have done this for you. There is an example. The same quotation, and after that, in parenthesis, the name of the author and date of publication and the pages. And the entry that you will find at the end of your paper will be like this: Michel Foucault, and immediately after that, the time of publication and the other informations. Okay, it has been elaborated in this page has elaborated the example only, and I think I have done this. So this is the summary. I have made this just for the sake of your understanding, with about the same author, about the same source of reference, and about the same quotation. So see how MLA style is different from APA style, which is different from Chicago style 1, which is footnote style, Chicago style 1, but that is reference style, and other Chicago style. So in MLA style, you can see the name of the author is inverted, but it is in full. I have written down the how the baseline, how you have to put in what sequence you the information you have to put. So author name, that will be inverted, then period, then title, then publisher, then comma, year of publication. That is MLA style 8. Then APA style, that is author name, which is inverted, then period, then year of publication, then period, then title, then period, then place of publication, colon, publisher, full stop. Chicago style 1, author name is not inverted here. It is written as the name of the author is. So author name, comma, title, then place of publication, publisher, year of publication, it is all in parentheses, then page number. Then I have there is a typing mistake. The reference style is Chicago style 2. Okay, so correct it. Reference list is the Chicago style 2, which is different from footnote style of Chicago. Okay, so these are the basic difference between the footnotes that you keep in Chicago style and the main list of documentation and the MLS style and APA style.